good morning. Good morning. You were just listening to the incredible Ruth Finley. We're very pleased to have her with us today as well. But welcome to the call here. We'll be getting started. We start at 1 minute after the hour. So we're recording right now. Glad to have you all here that are with us. We appreciate you taking the time on this Saturday as people are joining us here. So I'm Keith Hooper. I'm in California. Okay, that's the place where it now rains. I've got the arc about half done. Okay, based on what we're seeing. Okay, so things are moving along pretty quickly. I've got my Immunical though already packed up. It's in its own little rubber raft, so it'll float. Glad to have you all here. So, like I say, we'll get started here in just a moment. We are recording this call. We're very, very pleased to have all of you with us as well here on this incredible day. So we've got our good friend John Solleder down in Richardson, Texas, with us as well, who will be introducing some of our great guests here in just a moment or so. Good morning, John. Good afternoon, I guess, in your part of the world.
Well, yeah, it's a beautiful day in Dallas after 75-mile winds and storms on Thursday night that I was having images of the Wizard of Oz. It was really pretty insane. But today is a beautiful day. So welcome, everybody. This is going to be a lot of fun today. We've got, Keith, it's incredible. The people we have on the call today as speakers, I'm just blown away at their resumes. I'm just lucky I get to actually introduce them. I mean, this is stellar, folks. You're going to really enjoy this today. And it just shows, we've been talking about the blue zones a lot in conjunction with Immunical and our health and everything else. And, I want to throw one other little wrinkle in the blue zones, and that's the blue ocean. If you're not aware of the blue ocean book that was written back in 2004 by several Harvard business professors, the blue ocean is the concept basically that became companies like Tesla and Google, as an example, game changers. Well, Immunical is a game changer. It's a life changer. It's a product that has no equal, has no competitor. It's truly a game changer. And we know that. If you're on this call and you've been part of Immunitech, you know that. But we got a lot of new people today. So you're going to find out some of that today. And you're going to find out that from your own experiences as we go forward. So, Keith,
we got a couple of things, John. We need to learn. We need to, there's a lot of good things here. There's this product called Contralenta. Have any of you heard of it? Okay. It's a great product. It's back in stock. It's shipping. Okay. It's an incredible product. Okay. So thank you, John Solleder. He was instrumental in getting that over to Dr. Gutman a number of years ago and getting that product coming in. So it's great with there. There's other good news coming. Okay. Small bottle, kind of orangish, white lettering on it, whatever. Anyway, enough said about that. Coming soon. So John, we're very excited about this. We're very excited about Denzel Bach in the business here. We're very excited about George headed to Canada. John, so we've got a lot of people joining.
We got some tremendous stuff happening. And listen, you know what? I think we should get to our first guest, Keith, because they don't want to hear you and I talk. They want to hear from the lovely lady who was just singing as you came on, and you heard some beautiful music. I want to share a little bit about Ruth Finley, though, so you know exactly who she is. She has been a recording artist since the age of 17. She produced her first successful indie album at 23. That was back in 1976. She's been writing and producing spiritual music now for a number of decades, going back to at least 1976. She has toured several continents with her music in person and on the airwaves of Christian and spiritual radio, along with ambient music stations and, of course, CBC radio. That's Canadian radio, of course. Ruth created her YouTube channel during the last few crazy years that we all experienced. The Ruth Finley channel aims to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with the world and encourages people to stand up for true love, spiritual growth, inner peace, and eternal salvation. We could all use a lot more of that. Now, Ruth became an Immunitech consultant way back in 2003, and she has remained with the company since then. Immunical and healthy food choices and prayer have allowed Ruth to overcome serious health issues, enabling her to continue into her senior years, still creating, producing, and distributing spiritual music, as well as continuing a 31-year career as a music teacher. and an Immunotech distributor. So Ruth, welcome to the Zoom Tacular. Thank you so much for being here. Your music is beautiful. I've been listening to it. Keith sent me some the other day to listen to as well on my phone, and really enjoying your music. But hey,
Thank you, John.
let's talk about your journey here with Immunotech and Immunical.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll just jump in at the beginning when my good friend Randy Rabideau called me up one day and said, Ruth, have you ever heard of glutathione? And actually I hadn't, but I thought he was talking about another supplement. So I started rambling on, and then he was listening to me very patiently. And then I said, what was it again you said? And he said, have you heard of glutathione? And I said, I have to tell you, no. So he began to share a little bit with me. And Randy and I had known each other for a couple of years because we attended the same church together, and we love to talk about spiritual things. Anyway, so he said, why don't I come over? And if you get a little group together, I can share it with you. He told me how his father had been healed, how he had been healed. And I was very, very interested and I and my friends were always looking out for any kind of plan that would help us to stay healthy and to be healthy and treat some of the problems of our health. So I invited them over to my house, and Randy came over, and I hadn't seen him for about 9 months. And when I first saw him, I could not believe my eyes. Before he had gone on Immunical, he was always a vegetarian. He was very slim, very, very slim, but also his complexion didn't look ruddy or healthy. It looked very sallow. And he was struggling with some health problems, which I didn't know anything about. I just knew that he just didn't look healthy. When he knocked on my door and I saw him, I could not believe my eyes. His complexion was ruddy. His body had filled out. It almost seemed like he'd put on some muscle or something. I'm not sure. But I right then I was like, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm doing this. Also, when he came, I was not well. And I told him, I'm sick. I have a cold and I just can't seem to shake it. And I was having a lot of struggles with a lot of health problems. And I was working hard with homeopathic remedies, with this, with that, and vitamins. And I was doing a great job, but I couldn't stop getting colds. I couldn't stop getting infections. And I told him that on the phone. He said, well, listen, I'm going to bring you over some packets of Immunical. Bring them with me. Even if you don't, buy the product or anything, you can take these and I'm sure that they're going to help you. So he brought those over for me. And we had a meeting, and my friends were very, very interested. And he said, well, what do you think? Do you want to buy the product? And my friend said, well, I think that we actually want to buy in and we want to be distributors. We called ourselves distributors back then. I think we call ourselves consultants now. And Randy looked at me and he said, well, what about you? I mean, this is the beginning of your organization. If you buy in tonight, you'll be able to have it. And I looked at him and I said, honestly, Randy, I can't afford it. And one of the reasons I couldn't afford it was because I could not, even though I was a professional singer, people were asking me, they were wanting me to book concerts, they were wanting me to book shows. I could not, in all honesty, say yes, because if that date came and I had another cold, I'd have to cancel. And that would be very, very bad for my musical reputation. If you cancel a concert, people don't ever want to hire you again, and it's just a bad thing to do. So because everybody's there, right? And they're waiting for you to show up, and you go, I'm sorry, I can't come. I've got a cold today. So I couldn't do that. I was hanging on a string, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Randy said to me, he said, listen, I will pay for you to come in. And we were good friends. He trusted me. And I said, well, there's no reason for me not to. Okay, so that was a Wednesday. I was taking 2 packs of Immunical. I took 2 packs that day, 2 packs on Thursday, and I had 1 left over on Friday. On Friday, I was starting to feel better, and that was a miracle because my colds sometimes lasted for months. And then I would get better, and then I would get a chill or go somewhere, and then I would have another cold. And it just seemed like I was spending my whole time being sick. So I started to get better. I did buy in that night, that Wednesday night in March. I did buy in as a consultant. We started building our business. I was able to pay him back within the month. Well, as soon as I got my first paycheck, which was the next month from Immunitech, I was able to pay him back. And we were doing very, very well with our business. 20 years later, I and my friends are still on this product. And there's a lot that I could say, but it seems like we've been skirting all of the diseases. My career as a singer, and I was a singer in retirement homes and nursing homes, and I was working with senior people more senior than I'm a senior now, but 20 years ago I wasn't. And I just loved going there and singing, and it was my career. And I couldn't really get a lock on doing anything because I was sick. And my career blossomed. It just blossomed. I was getting lots and lots of gigs. I did hundreds and hundreds of gigs, which I did not have to cancel. I do remember in my entire career for 15 years singing in the homes, I believe I only canceled 1 gig.
Wow.
So when it was about taking it every day, it was about if I had felt anything happening, if I felt a sore throat, a sniffle, I would take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And let me tell you, by the next day, I was fine. I was fine. It was amazing. It was amazing for me to have this as a singer. So 20 years later, I'm still recording. I'm still writing music. I have a whole other album that is written. I just have to get into the studio and do it. My voice is the same as the voice that you heard on that recording 40 years ago or whatever, probably more, 40 or so 45 years ago. My voice is the same. And there's lots of factors in it. I also teach music. I tell my students, if you're going to be a singer, you have to live like a monk. You have to live, you're clean. You have to live clean. And, Immunical is one of those things that really, really helps us to live clean. And I know what John and Keith said, well, this is our series and it's on the Blue Zone. And I'm going, the Blue Zone, that's kind of like, there's blue zones in the world, and that's where people are living for a long time and stuff like that. But something, we create our own blue zone when we pay attention to what we're eating, the quality of the supplements and our food, but it's also the quality of our life, the quality of how we serve humanity. And that, I was thinking about this blue zone. I was thinking about longevity. And the question we ask ourselves is, why do I want to live a long life? Why? A lot of people are checking out right now. And in my country, we're making it really easy for people to do that. Canada. We got to work on that in this country. But the question is, well, why? Because when I answer that question for myself, I say it's because I have a purpose. Every day is important that I live. Every day is important that I share whatever the gift that God has given me. And every day I encourage other people to live a long and healthy life, not just for yourself and not just for the beauty of it, for the blessing of it, but so that others around you will be encouraged and blessed and helped and loved and supported. The longer we live with this goal in mind, with this purpose, we share God's plan for humanity. And we become lovers of humanity. We love humanity, even though they're not our family. They are our extended our extended family. So I just wanted to just throw that in because I just felt, yeah, that's why I want to live a long life. That's why I want to stay on Immunical. And right now in my circle, we are taking 1 platinum and we take 1 silver and 1 blue every day if we can. You know, sometimes these days you're like, oh, I missed my protein. But our goal is to take 1 platinum and 1 regular Immunical every day, combine it, and just stay on it. It's our #1 supplement of all the supplements we take. So just wanted to share that with you. I don't know if you have any other questions for me, but
Well, I just want to make a point, and that's you said a ton of stuff here, but what one of the things, obviously in music, right? Yeah, you cancel once and they don't hire you again.
no.
But that's in a lot of professions. You think about, what this product means economically to people, right? There's a cost to being sick, and some of that cost is, hey, if you're a consultant, you're a lawyer, even if you're a doctor, if you're a truck driver, or whatever it happens to be professionally, if you can't perform, once they might give you a pass, the second time they call the next person on the list. So that's just such an amazing point that you made, amongst many amazing points. But thanks for everything. In closing, you want to share anything else?
Uh, I kind of said everything that I wanted to say at full speed, didn't I? So I just thank you so much for playing my music.
Wait a minute. You're not going to get off that easy. First of all, we've got to put the caveat in here first. Those of you on my Wednesday night call, products for Unitech research don't cure anything, because Hippocrates said some 2,500 years ago, let food be thy medicine. We're going to put that caveat in here real briefly. I don't
Right.
think I heard something about there was this chair that had wheels on it at some point in your life.
Well, I was never in a wheelchair, if that's what you mean, but I certainly was headed towards one because at the time that there was one time in my 40s when I had 3 chronic diseases, and every time I got a diagnosis from the doctor, they said, there's no way we can help you with these. There's no cure for these. There's nothing we can do. And they sent me home. And that's when I really started to look. I started to search. And I found that, yeah, I was headed. I probably, I'll tell you how old I am. I will be 70 in June. When I was in my 40s, I had a friend, come up to me, and she hadn't seen me for a couple of years. I was a teacher to her daughter. I was teaching her daughter piano. She hadn't seen me for a few years, and she came up to me and she said, Ruth, what is wrong? What is wrong? I think I was maybe 45 or 44. I was still young. And I said, I don't know. I just can't get well. I just can't get well. And I hadn't heard about it. I don't know if Immunical was even invented by then. But anyway, she said, well, I think I know someone that can help you. And she put me onto a medical intuitive and that was my journey of healing started then. It started with a medical intuitive who put me on homeopathic remedies, vitamins, lots of tinctures, and I started to improve. I started to get better and better. One of the diseases that I had, and I had a government diagnosis, the papers came back to me saying you have an active Barr-Epstein virus in your body. There is nothing we can do about it. There's no cure for this. And I was losing muscle, because what happens with Barr-Epstein, with that particular, whatever that is, you know, because the whole idea of viruses now is being challenged, and there's terrain theory, and there's germ theory, and there's a whole shift in what things are. But whatever I had, it was causing the muscle cells and the cells of my body to leak. So I was losing tone all over my body. It came to the point where I could still work, but it was a huge challenge. Being a piano teacher or being any kind of teacher, you kind of need to get up and interact with your students. And I was teaching group students and I was teaching private students. I had a lot of trouble standing up. And after all of the therapies that I took for 3-4 years, I still could not stand up easily. I had to make it an action of my will to stand up. When did that lead me? 1 month after I started on Immunical. What the glutathione in my body was the thing that I needed, and I wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting it from anywhere. I was getting other kinds of support. I was probably having a little bit, you know, from my food and stuff, but I needed massive amounts of glutathione in order to correct my autoimmune disorder. And so a month after I was taking it, I could stand up just like I could when I was a little child. And it's been like that ever since. And that was 20 years ago. So that's my honest, true story with just one of my chronic diseases, just one. I have no chronic disease right now. I am feeling a little bit more as I age, a little bit of that arthritic thing happening. So we're working on that inflammation. You know, I'm working on that inflammation, but it's nothing like it was when I was younger. So
Great.
I think you knew about that story. I think that's what you were going for, wasn't it, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, like I say, one of the other things I want everybody to notice today, all the people who've been taking Immunical for 20 years other than me, don't look anywhere near their age. Don't look anywhere near their age. So
Does that include me?
I don't know. You and I are the exceptions, John.
Well,
Exceptions
it's so true.
You and me.
It is. It's amazing. It's amazing to stay on it, and it's almost like the time, the clock, it just slows down. It just goes slower and slower and slower, and
Well, thank you,
then
Ruth.
yeah.
Thank you
You're
so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
great,
Thank you.
great job, Ruth. Appreciate it. And Keith, you know, I got a really great feeling about this next segment. I'm really excited about it because it's something a little bit different. So let's talk a little Cogniva this afternoon from the Cogniva Queen, but let's introduce her this way. Well, Dina Holmes is now renamed the Cogniva Queen. And I love the 5-second rule that she had in there. I always told my kids that when they were little. And Dina, welcome. How are you?
Hey, John. That was slightly painful, but comical as well. Thanks for the introduction, my friend. I'm glad to be here.
Glad you're here.
Okay, well, I'm going to get right into this. We have such a great segment lined up, and I just want to, again, thanks, John and Keith, for inviting me today. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself outside of that introduction that you just received. Yes, if you follow me on social media, I follow a daily routine, a morning routine that I have, and it does include taking care of my brain, which I'm going to talk about why and how. And I like to have fun doing it. So that's what you were seeing there, just some of my stories over there on Instagram. If you're on the gram, feel free to follow me. I'm at Dina, DENA.Holmes, HOLMZ, and I love to share living better tips with people. So I want to also take this opportunity to share with you a little bit about my story. We've got a lot of guests on with us today, whether you're watching live or catching the recording. And my story is similar to not only Ruth's, but probably some of the other stories you're going to hear today. And I was a mom on a mission, to feel good, to feel better. I live here in Southwest Florida. I'm in Fort Myers, and I work with a lot of nutritionists and functional health experts because of some chronic health challenges that I have experienced since my early 30s. In fact, I like to refer to my immune system as one that's pretty broken. And so I was really looking at every avenue I could to try to get to the root cause of why this was happening. As we learned early on in 2020, the immune system is quite important. And what we don't realize is that the immune system is not just for the ability to fight off various viruses or bacterial things that we may encounter. Yes, it does that, but it's responsible for so many functions within the body. So to say that my immune system was broken is a mild way of saying that I had a lot of challenges going on. So one day, one of the experts that I work with here in Southwest Florida, this was back in 2018, she said, "Hey, Dina, if you really want to feel amazing, if you really want to feel wonderful, you need to optimize your glutathione." And I looked at her like she had two heads, because I had been in the health and wellness space for over 10 years at that point. And I was familiar with a lot of things when it comes to health, but glutathione I was not familiar with. And she basically said, "Hey, Dina, glutathione is this substance in your cells, and it's responsible for your immune function and detoxification and cellular energy and anti-aging. And all these supplements that you're taking, you're trying to achieve something that glutathione does." That caught my attention because I was living a healthy lifestyle. I was doing all the things, trying to eat clean and green clean my home, but it just wasn't enough. And the supplements I was taking just weren't enough. Well, she herself knew about glutathione, but here's what she didn't know. She did not know Immunical. So she put me on a supplement to try to optimize my glutathione, something called N-acetylcysteine. Maybe some of you are familiar with NAC. Maybe some of you have taken it in the past. Now, I took NAC for 2 years religiously, faithfully, every single month taking my NAC. Well, unfortunately, I saw no change to how I was feeling, and I saw no change to my blood work, but I kept taking it anyway, until one day, a dear friend of the family's, I stumbled across a Facebook post that talked about optimizing glutathione, and it caught my attention. I was like, glutathione, nobody talks about this. Let me look a little bit into this. And after a phone call to my friend's wife, hearing about her story and hearing about the scientific backing of Immunical, I thought, well, why not give this stuff a try? And really what it was is this page here. When I learned about the science behind Immunical, I was floored, because I'll tell you that being in the health and wellness space for 10 years prior, I was exposed to so many supplements that had, I'll say reputable backing, came from good companies, came from good people, well-intentioned people I trusted, but nothing like what we're seeing on this slide here. Not only is it the only natural product in the physician's desk reference and Canada's counterpart, the CPS, but the pharmaceutical patents that are behind this product really, really impressed me. The published research studies, the clinical studies, I thought this is something very, very special. So even though I loved and I trusted the people that talked to me about the product, I'll tell you that this is what really did it for me. And I share this story because of those of you who are like me and we're telling others about our awesome product. Don't take it for granted, the things that you're sharing on social media, that could be that solution that someone has literally been praying about, which I was. I had been looking for that one really strong, powerful Band-Aid to help me get through the challenges that I was facing. And just a huge shout out to our Immunical Platinum. You see here all the amazing benefits, not only of optimizing glutathione, but those cytokine modulating peptides, that redox modulating formula. That may not mean a lot to you, but talk to the person who invited you, because those ingredients are absolutely amazing when it comes to health transformation. And this is then the reason why I'm sitting here today sharing with other people about our amazing products, because I was actually working with another company that I loved for 10 years. I did very well financially with this other company. I had a great team, a great upline. But when I knew there was a product that could really change someone's life, well, 6 months after continuously giving my friends referrals, like, well, yeah, you could buy my stuff here, but if you really want to nip that in the bud, you should go talk to my friends Dale and Lou Perini. Okay, they sell this product that I'm taking, and it's really transformational, because I was all about helping people. And if I felt there was a stronger Band-Aid, a stronger way to help someone, it wasn't about money for me. I was giving these friends referrals, okay? So 6 months after doing that, I finally said yes to the business. Someone called me and said, hey, Dina, are you sure you don't want to take a look at this? My husband and I thought about it and said, why not give it a chance? And I'll tell you, I've never looked back. Not only from a financial standpoint was that decision so much better because of our amazing compensation plan and the incredible team that we have at the corporate office, but our products cannot be matched. There's nothing else in the field that competes with Immunical. And so I'm grateful not only for my story, but countless stories that I have saved on my cell phone, screenshots of people telling me, literally thanking me a million times over for helping get their life back, because it was that one tweak, like Ruth was sharing in her story, that made such a profound difference. So today I'm focusing, though, on a different product of Immunitex, and this product is something by the name of Cogniva, or as you saw in the videos, this beloved brain chew, as I call it. So why am I so passionate about brain health? Well, brain health is something that if you do not have, it literally will handicap every other aspect of your life. So for me, it has been since my early 20s that I have dealt with debilitating anxiety and panic attacks. I have family members like my beloved mother-in-law fighting Alzheimer's, watching her not be able to recognize my oldest stepson, I should say, that she helped raise. And it just breaks your heart. I have a son with bipolar disorder. I have family members with other mental health challenges. And I will tell you, when your brain health is not there, you will be begging and searching for something in order to feel better. And so brain health has been something very, very near and dear to me since a very, very young age. Now, why particularly I love Cogniva is because of another little story that I have for you. At one point, I remember starting to creep up into my, later 30s, And I started to notice things like walking into a room and forgetting why I was there, constantly looking for my cell phone, having no idea where the keys were, and just literal brain fog that made it difficult to even complete sentences at times. Have you ever had that happen? You know, you're in a conversation and you're telling somebody something, and then for a second you're like, what did I want to say? Or what were the next words? Well, that started to happen more often than I really wanted it to be. So I talked to my functional health practitioner. And I said to her, what can I do? I know I'm getting to that very special age of maybe perimenopause, things, you know, that happen for like a 10-year span for some of us women before we actually hit menopause. So I said, I don't know if it's hormones. I don't know what it is, but what can you recommend? You already know I live right as far as healthy living, like clean eating and exercising. What else you got for me, doc? And she said, oh, Dina, you need to be taking a supplement called phosphatidylserine. Another mouthful, right? Glutathione, phosphatidylserine. So again, I'm like, what? Phosphatidylserine, she said. It's an excellent nutrient for your brain, and it really helps with memory, to support memory. So I started taking phosphatidylserine regularly every single day, and it did help me. It was amazing. I love phosphatidylserine. Well, what I didn't realize after I had been taking Immunical, because I was just taking Immunical for many, many months, is that the company has these other awesome, great products. And one of them was a brain chew, a nootropic for brain health. And I look at the ingredients in Cogniva, and guess what? One of the major ingredients is phosphatidylserine. And I said, well, I'm already taking this. But not only did I notice phosphatidylserine, but I noticed there are other awesome ingredients in Cogniva, like chromium and choline and boron and folate. And I thought, wow, I know these ingredients, and I know all of these are great for supporting things like neurotransmitter production, so helping with mood. And I knew enough about folate that even people who have some health challenges, maybe we're dealing with MTHFR gene mutation. If you have no idea what that is, good. You probably don't have it. But there are some of us on this call who know what MTHFR gene mutation is. I'm one of them. I have that. So we have to be careful about the folate we take in. Unitech is smart enough to know this is methylated folate. So it's the best form, most effective for brain efficacy, as stated here. And also, I was so excited to see that there was an ingredient in there, ingredients to help with concentration and focus, because I'm the original squirrel, right, brain. I'm easily distracted, easily get caught off of the task at hand. And so can I say that Cogniva is a cure and it has fixed every single one of those things in my life? No, but I'm telling you that it's been the greatest support in improving my memory, my mood, my focus, my alertness, right? There are things that may still make it challenging to complete a sentence sometimes. Maybe it's anxiety a little bit like I get right now when I present. Or if I don't have a great night's sleep, I may still be forgetful that day. But I'm telling you, compared to not taking Cogniva, my overall cognitive health is so much better. And again, I always save my testimonials when people text them back to me. I keep a folder on my photos called stories. And I have so many stories from people who have just been amazed by the help that Cogniva has given them and their overall mental health. And that makes me so, so happy, because even if our own loved ones, maybe they're not open to taking supplements or healthy living tips, but you know what? If I can help myself and I can help someone that will listen and who's been searching, that makes me feel so good. So Cogniva is one, again, it elevates that mental sharpness and acuteness. No, I still don't know how to play chess, but if I wanted to, I would take a Cogniva and I would learn how. It supports long-term brain health, and it helps improve immediate focus and concentration. So keep in mind, though, that because this does have a bit of green tea extract in it, if you are sensitive to caffeine, you want to be careful not to take this too late in the day. Now, for me, I found that because I am very, very, very sensitive to caffeine, the best time for me to take Cogniva was right before I go outside and I start walking the dog. Okay. And I'm doing something physical. I have no issues then with that green tea extract that's in there. So I wanted to mention that just in case some of you are like me and you're sensitive to a little bit of natural caffeine, like what's in green tea. And also, Cogniva just helps for great brain function. All right, cognitive performance. So like you saw in those Instagram stories, Cogniva helps boost your mood, your memory, your energy, your mental focus and concentration. And remember, brain health, my friends, it is not like trying to lose 5 pounds. Did you put on some weight over November and December? Are you using this time to lose some weight? It takes time, but you can do it, right? A couple weeks and boom. If you do not focus on your brain health on the daily, by the time something is wrong, it is extremely, extremely difficult to reverse. Okay, let that sit with you for a minute. And I don't say that other than for the reason that I care about you. I have seen it happen countless times within my own family. So I invite you to give Cogniva a try. It is buy 3, get 20% off for the month of March, depending on how you want to buy this. If you want to buy it one time as a customer or get Cogniva monthly or sign up to share these amazing products with others, the pricing is going to differ, but the person who invited you can get you that pricing, whatever is going to be best for you and that budget. But it's a great opportunity because with supplements, we know it's not instantaneously that we notice a difference. I always tell my customers and even business partners, I say, hey, you want to give this the 3-month rule. You need to be on this for some time to make sure that this is, you're going to see the effects, how it's really working for you after a couple months. So that's a great promo. And again, ask yourself, what am I doing each day to support my brain health? So back to you, John. That's all I wanted to share with everybody today.
Dina, that was beyond phenomenal job. We love your videos. There's some mornings that's the first thing I do. It's like I look at the Dina video, I have a couple of chuckles, and then I remember, because I'm getting to that age where I got to remember, take the Cogniva as well as the Immunical. The Immunical is automatic, but sometimes I take the Cogniva. So I put the bag now right next to where I have the Immunical. So good little habit for you. But thank you so much, Dina. And you're just you're phenomenal. You only been here 2 years, and boy, you've already a diamond, and you've got a growing business, and continued good success, my friend.
Thanks to mentors like you and Keith and so many others in this awesome company. So thank you, John.
Well, stick around because one of your outside mentors is going to speak in not too long. So folks, stick around. We got a full program today. If you don't learn something today, it's your fault. That's all I'm going to say. Hopefully you got your pens moving, because Ruth did an amazing job. Dina did an amazing job. And our next speaker, I'm going to tell you about, and she's going to do an amazing job too. Dale Perini, in the past, Dale was a professional model and beauty queen working with the legendary comedian and actor Bob Hope. But what defines Dale today are the challenges that she has faced in life. She's a truth seeker, and this has led her to higher pursuits as an altruistic person. She is passionate in her pursuit of helping others on the road to health, both spiritually and physically. She is involved in ministry that has taken her to various parts of the world for well over 42 years. And since 1995, she has lived by the principles of a science-based health movement that was founded in 1948 and is very similar to what we use in the Blue Zone. So let me introduce from Rhode Island, our good friend, Dale Perini. Dale, how are you today?
I'm great, John. Thank you. First of all, I want to say I love you, Dina. She's like my baby girl, but I can't take credit for her success. She is wonderful. And I want to thank you very much for letting me share my journey into the woods, I want to call it. You ever notice that those of us with Immunotech, we're not afraid to share our age? Ruth told us she's 70, right? My husband's 72 and I'm 67. And I am proud of reaching that age and proud of how I feel today. So why do I call it Going Into the Woods? Well, there was a play I saw many years ago, and it was called Into the Woods. And the correlation is the world we live in today. It can be a scary place. And if you're not prepared, you could have a bad outcome. I also have what's called the Peter Pan syndrome. So Peter Pan said, I won't grow up. I don't want to grow up. You know, when I was a kid, they used to say, how old do you want to live to be? And people would say, oh, I want to live to be 100. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to grow old. So I didn't mind being 100, but feeling a lot younger. That much I do know. So my journey into the woods began. It was very scary. I grew up in a world that was basically a cesspool for me, and I don't think we find much difference today in the world that we live in. I was exposed to DDT as a little girl. The trucks would come by to spray the mosquitoes, and I would be running behind it, and I got drenched in this stuff. We grew up with the lead paint. We used to play with the drips on the house. My father owned a gas station, and gas was leaded back then, and we used to just love to take in the smell of the fumes. And also, we played on a floor, asbestos flooring, that was all broken up, the tiles, all right? I can see some of you can relate to that world. The world we live in isn't much different today. That was my personal experience. Now we're exposed to everything around us. But the world of the blue zones is the same world today. But those individuals who grew up in those days had a different petri dish. Those days were clean. The food was clean. The environment was clean. So they had a better start than some of us may have. The older we are, the better off our start probably was. So what did that lead me to? And what may that have led many of you to? It's not too late to bring the blue zones home, okay? Put it into your life, those practices, those principles. So as a young child, I had ADD. I wasn't diagnosed till I was in my 40s. Chronic fatigue came my way, and I was always sick, always sick. So it wasn't a fun place, because going into the woods can be a fun place. It can be a beautiful place to be, but you have to have the right tools. You have to be prepared. So I found myself going out and getting prepared, even though I had already been in the rain a little bit too long. I tried to live my life as best as I could. It was a lifestyle that was very similar to the blue zones. And as John had said earlier, it had certain principles in it, like good eating. It was plant-based, less chaotic, less stressed. It was science-based. It was called the American Natural Hygiene Society. They gave principles on cleaning the inner body and mind. So they suggested that you get sunlight every day, 20 minutes of it, but first thing in the morning in your eyes to allow the melatonin to take place. Later when you were ready for sleep. It was a lean plant-based diet. They suggested moderate exercise, or for those in the blue zones, it's simply basic activity of life. They're planting gardens, they're working, they're physical, they're active. Getting the proper amount of sleep. So many people pride themselves, I only need 5 hours of sleep. We need more. I once was on a program where I was told I needed to take one whole day off. That's how broken down I was. A whole day off every week and not get out of bed for anything. And I was like, how can I do that? How can I stay in bed? That's how broken I was. I found myself sleeping all day, on and off, on and off. And then I could sleep the whole night through. So we don't want to get to that point. And also another thing the Blue Zones recommends, and this American Natural Hygiene Society recommended, was a strong, supportive community based on high morals and peaceful relationships. As my friend says, run from the crazies. Run from the crazies. So I did that for quite a while. In 2009, H1N1 was rampant. I got very sick that year. I didn't go to the doctor because I did all my natural programs. I fasted, I did everything, but it was a very, very difficult cold to get over. I didn't know about glutathione yet. And my hope following this whole thing was to avert cancer, which was prominent in my family, and heart disease for my husband. His father had died at 52, uncles in their 50s, and his grandmother at 60. So we managed to get through life. He managed to get over 52. Like I said, he's 72 now. But what I did run into after 17 years following this lifestyle, again, I had a different petri dish. I ended up with endometrial cancer. And that was a tough pill to swallow. My husband says, Dale, you can't have this. You're the strictest person I know taking care of your health. But it came. My doctor said probably because of my diet, it came later in life. And also I had a better survival because of the way of life that I chose. 2 months after I had my complete hysterectomy, I had cancer again, this time in my lymph nodes and the inguinal area. There were so many that the doctor didn't even bother counting how many lymph nodes. But before I had gone back to see him, he knew I had cancer. I walked out of his office. I said, I'm going to try something else. I tried fasting, the Gerson therapy, and some Chinese medicine. I tried all the natural avenues, but the cancer was a little bit more aggressive than they were able to address at that time in my life. So I found myself in excruciating pain. I couldn't barely walk. I went back to the doctor and I said, I don't want to go home, just take care of it. So I had another surgery and they removed the lymph nodes and they decided that I needed to have chemo. That was the last thing I wanted to do, but I have learned in life, never say never. You do what you got to do to stay in the land of the living. So I did chemo. I had a 60% chance of survival with chemo. And what I didn't know at the time was the survival rate was only 12 to 15 months after chemo. So how did I feel 2 weeks after all that chemo? Terrible. I've depleted my glutathione with the virus that I caught. I depleted my glutathione with 2 surgeries, and I depleted my glutathione with chemo. I was mostly dead, as they say in Princess Bride. Right? If I was all dead, they could go through my pockets and take all my change. But, we never give up. We never surrender. So about 2 weeks after, I was completely lethargic. I couldn't get out of bed. I needed assistance walking. I was exhausted and really non-functional. A dear friend of mine, Julia Begg, she sent home some boxes of Immunical to my husband and said, take 1 regular and 1 platinum at night and repeat it in the morning and repeat it every day. Well, my husband would say, there's no way I would believe this if somebody told me this. But he saw it with his own eyes. In 2.5 days, the mitochondria in my body had received the energy that it needed, and the detox that I had of all of those chemicals was completely gone. And I was up on my feet, walking on my own. I made breakfast on Saturday morning. So I started this Thursday night. Saturday morning, I made breakfast. I went out in my ministry with my husband, came home, made lunch, did a load of laundry, and he said, I'm going to go to the gym. I said, I'm going with you. So it was an overnight. And we were told earlier by John Wilson that Dr. Gutman said the first thing that comes back is your energy level. So after 5 years, my doctor, who again, my oncologist encouraged me to stay on my diet. That's the diet he wants all of his cancer patients on. But after 5 years, he said I was his poster child, and it was very rare to survive recurrent endometrial cancer, very rare. So that was 13 years ago, people. I'm very happy to be alive and to be 67 years old and climbing mountains. Yeah, so if you're going to journey into the woods, be prepared. Make healthy blue zone choices to improve your odds against early and severe disease. Add Immunical to your list, not only as a map for your genes to follow a healthy course, but also a compass to bring you back on track for survival.
Phenomenal. Dale, phenomenal. And what's so interesting listening to both your story and Ruth's story, and Dina's story, and Dina's a little bit younger, is the fact that all three of you were already, you were already on track with blue zone type of living, eating right, exercising, taking supplements, et cetera, et cetera. And yet the game changer, the blue ocean, if you will, okay, the game changer was all of a sudden get that glutathione up. And how do you do that? Well, there's only one way to do that, in my opinion, and it's called Immunical.
Yes.
And, and that's the one point. Second point I want to make is, when you read Dan Buettner from National Geographic, who did all of this wonderful work with the blue zones, that, he talks about strong communities. All three of these ladies have strong communities. They have strong family units. They're women of faith. They have great people around them. They're part of the Immunotech family as well. So, just key stuff. So, Dale, any last thought before we move on?
Well, I'm with Dina. Share it. Share what you've learned. Share your experience. Do it out of love and compassion, and do it with all your heart. People are going to trust you more, but don't stop. You can't hold back what is good when you have it within your means. And this is the best product in the world. And I love all our products. I do love the Cogniva, and I love everything that we have. Another thing for brain power is our omegas. That's very, very good for our brain power. As a matter of fact, I was thinking, people are like, how could a vegan take things like omega fish oils or whey protein? I was like, no way. And you do what you have to do. And if your body is screaming out for something because you're lacking, severely lacking, and your health is threatened, you do what you have to do. And this is science-based. And my science-based natural hygiene doctor, MD, he actually suggests for people with ADD that they may need, now he's vegan, they may need to take an omega fish oil. And ours has got a standard of purity that has been recognized in Canada. And so I'm all about making sure if I'm going to go out of my zone that it's pure. And also the whey. I mean, it's the only way we can optimize our glutathione is with Immunical. So I had to do that. I can't get it from any other source, any other vegan source, unless I want to eat a truck full of raw broccoli. And that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Well, great, Dale. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Dina. All phenomenal, phenomenal. Hey, stick around because our next speaker is a phenomenal human being. And if your energy level's already not high, it's going to get higher listening to him. And when he's done, got John Molson and Dr. Cellini. So stick around. There's a lot more today, folks. This has just been so much fun today. But let me tell you a little bit about my friend Simon Chan. Simon is, amongst other things, a professional speaker. He is a consistency coach at the highest level. He understands how important it is in human development, business development to be consistent. He's going to share some of that. He understands how to help people make money. He's done it as a distributor, built an organization of 200,000 plus people. Nothing to sneeze at there. But he retired in 2013 from actively building downlines and instead decided that he wanted to help people like us, people in the field, people that he wanted to see them grow. And he's been doing that ever since. He is the host of the MLM Nation podcast, where he's interviewed over 700 people. I'm leaving nothing to chance. We're a little over 100 now, and I'm already tired. So I can't imagine over 700. I kid him all the time. I don't know how he does it, but he just does it. He's got an amazing energy level and capacity for doing his show. In addition to that, if you want to listen to me being interviewed on his show, MLM Nation, obviously do that. And if you want to hear me interviewing him on February 7th, Leaving Nothing to Chance, which is archived, leavingnothingtochance.com, my podcast, you can listen to me interviewing Simon. So if you love what you hear here, you can hear it all again and a lot more. I want to just add a couple of other things. He is a committed dad. He is a man of faith. He is a wonderful husband. He has wonderful children that are athletes that he's guiding in the process to do it the right way. He is also, let me say this, he's also a customer of Immunical. Okay, so he's a smart guy. He knows what our product can do. And if you're going to be here in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, next month for the convention, he's going to be our keynote speaker. And before I actually introduce him, one last point. The Consistency Pill, his book, phenomenal, folks. Get it in your library. All right. You know, Jim Rohn taught me many years ago when we were having lunch here in Dallas. He said, your library is going to live past your coffee table. And I believe that. So let me introduce my good friend, gentleman that is going to share some wonderful, life-changing and business development changing information with us, Mr. Simon Chan. Simon, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thank you, John. It's an honor to be here. Great to see you. A lot of familiar friends. Dina Holmes, great to see you. Awesome leader there. I want to add a few things before I share. The Jim Rohn quote, I was just teaching someone, you know, your quote brings back memories of 20 years when I first started. Jim Rohn told me that poor people have big TVs, but rich people have big libraries. So, and that was, that started my journey towards personal development. And the second thing is, I'm going to show you tips about staying consistent. And I am definitely human, just like you are. To be fully transparent here, yes, I have done 700 plus interviews on MLM Nation, and I am really sick and tired of doing them, right? But, and even with John, I was like, oh, I got to do another interview. Now, don't get me wrong. Once I start doing them, I love them, right? But to do another one, but here's something, you know, part of consistency, everything starts up here, your mindset, right? Things always happen twice, first in the mind and then in reality. It's how you see yourself. If you want to make the income, if you want to be that leader that John Solleder is, start being like him, start learning. And in our industry, we talk about copy what successful people do. I challenge you, more important than copy what they do is copy how they think. Because the reality is those leaders, like whether it's like Dina or John, you know, or Dr. Molson, we all are human just like you, but we think differently. So getting back to it, you know, I'm tired of doing those interviews, but my mentor taught me that successful people do things that unsuccessful people don't do. Right? And I used to say, well, because the successful people are different. They like to, I'm different. Okay? I'm like an average person. Successful people like to do those things. And then my mentor said, no, you don't get it. Successful people also hate doing them, but they do it anyway. So I never liked to prospect, but I did it anyway. Right? There's a lot of things in this business, great stuff. There's a lot of things you may not want to do, but start copying what top leaders do. They do it anyway. And that's actually the first step towards success and consistency. So let me share a few things here with you. And by the way, if I speak fast, I'm sorry. I'm a shy, quiet Asian kid from Brooklyn, New York. And I'll do my best to slow down. I used to speak a lot faster. And English is my third language. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's okay. But you still need to go to Fort Worth to convention, all right? Because now John even tell me to say this, but you have to go to events. The events is the lifeblood of your business. And if you're going to an event, set a goal to never go to the, I know some of you do go to events, never go to the event back to back at the same rank. You always have to move up. And maybe you don't need the income, you don't need the accolades, your attention, but you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your team. When your team sees you do well and get new ranks, promoted, that builds their belief in them. That they believe in the product already, but they may not believe that is this business not great. So never get stuck in the same rank. There's so many stories that I can share, but you have to go to convention. Okay, your leaders are way nicer than my leader. My original mentor said that, and I did not have money to go to my first convention. Okay, I was doing the business part-time, making like $100 a month. But he said to me, Simon, and I was giving all type of excuses. And he said, well, if you don't go, I'll never work with you ever again. And I was like, what? So yeah, don't even text me about it. I'm not going to mentor you. He's like, why? What? Because he said, well, going to the convention doesn't guarantee you'll be successful, but not going guarantees that you're never going to be successful. You have to go to the event. And so somehow I made it. Actually, that event 2004 in San Diego, I would not be here if it wasn't for that event. You know, up to that event, I made only $100 a week. That was my maximum. Right after that week, because of the people I met and the belief, I made my first $1,000 a week check. And the rest is history. So make sure you get to the event. And, I wasn't even planning to share this, but it's so important to think about, to talk about the events is I went to that event only, I slept only 90 minutes. Talk about bad timing. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend that night. It was a girl that I thought I was going to marry. She basically, yes, she dumped me. Okay. She dumped me on the worst day right before the convention. And, but I slept 90 minutes. I went to bed, I think like 4:30 a.m. Finally fell asleep because I was sobbing. And then I woke up at 6 a.m. And the reason I got up at 6 a.m. was because I had to pick up 2 downlines to take up to the event. So it was a drive all the way to San Diego. And once I got there, we got there on time. But my downlines went to the convention, and I told them I had to go to the bathroom. I sneakily went back to the parking lot and took like a 3-hour nap. That was my first convention. But I will not be here. So make sure you go to Fort Worth. I look forward to seeing you all there. All right. So I'm going to talk about a few things today. I always start off with my purpose. My purpose is to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. And I believe everyone can earn a good part-time income in the immunotech. All right. Now, if you want to be a leader full-time, you have a lot of growing to do. But you have a great product right now. I use the product. It works, right? But you have to stay consistent. And my mission is to help 1,000 of you get to at least $1,000 a month. Now, if you're stuck, it's not your fault. Okay, don't beat yourself down. I think this is something that's common, and it's going to sabotage you. You get a couple of rejections, and you start being really down and negative. Hey, give yourself some grace and love. It's not your fault because we are in the distraction economy. We're in an economy right now in this world that's basically built to sabotage you in your business. That we have nonstop notifications on your phone. We have Apple Watches. We have different devices. We have TikTok, right? So Netflix, all these algorithms built to make it addictive to distract you from your business. So stay focused. If you're not focused, it's not your fault. But I'm going to share a couple of things that will help you. So I think you all know what's the number one skill? number one skill, right? And I asked John this on the podcast, and we talked about it. And, some people say it's presenting. Some people say it is talking about the product. But the number one skill that makes all the other skills possible is consistency. Because without consistency, you're never going to be successful. No strategy you can do to be successful. So, for example, maybe you want to reach out to certain doctors about the product. If you're not consistently doing it over and over again, you're not going to be successful at it because it's a certain learning curve. If you want to say, I'm going to connect with doctors on LinkedIn, right, about the products, or you're not consistent, it's not going to work. Because without consistency in anything, it's just like learning to swim, learn to ride a bike. It takes time. Without consistency, you're never going to create momentum. You never create the momentum that's necessary. So because network marketing, Immunotech is a momentum business. Some of you know it, right? When you got great momentum, seems like everyone you talk to is interested. When you have no momentum, no one's taking your call. But you need consistency to create that momentum. It's like the plane that takes off. If it's starting fast and slow down, starting fast and slows down, it's never going to have the speed to take off. Without consistency, no strategy will ever work. And consistency is especially important if you're new or never had any success. Some of you are new. Some of you are newbies. You haven't made, more than $100 a month. Consistency is so important. Why? Because if you lack consistency, people will think your business doesn't work. It's like the restaurant. Today is Saturday, and I wanted to go to the restaurant, and it's closed. Right? But tomorrow I drive by, it's open. Then I say, all right, you know what? Let's go there Monday. And it's closed again. What would you think of that business? Right? The restaurant's probably not doing well. So if you're not consistent, people are watching you, right? People are watching. If you're doing it a little bit, doing it some days and some days not, it's not going to happen. Because you have to understand that. Now, I'll give you another. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, about my friends who try to get me to watch the NBA, the Lakers game. So, and by the way, this call is definitely meant to be, God definitely planned this call because on Saturday, John talked about baseball. Every weekend, I am on the baseball field. I'm on the baseball field at least 20, 25 hours a week. Okay. That's why this profession is so awesome. Give me the flexibility to do that. A lot on the weekdays, every weekday, there's some baseball going on. I have a batting cage in my house. Normally I would be at a tournament, but because of this call, my son's game is at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. tonight. And this is the first time we've had a 6 p.m. game in like 3 years, John. And so I could do that. So initially, when I text you, say, oh, what time is the call? It's like 12. Oh, my goodness. I got to be on the baseball field and do it in my car. I'm like, hopefully the connection is good and all that. But hey, God planned it, made everything work out. But, you have to understand prospecting is about timing. Why is prospecting is about timing? There was a time in your life you would have never done Immunotech. You probably would not even be interested in the products. But Immunotech, you are on this call today because Immunotech came into your life at a specific point where the timing was right. Right? So that's why consistency will lead to new customers and consultants when the timing is right. So you talk to your friend, they're not interested. I always give an example. Say you talk to a friend on a Friday. And Friday, they're ready for the weekend, right? They're ready for the weekend. It's getting warmer here. They're not interested in the business. They're not interested to hear what you have to say. And then Friday afternoon, they get an email from the boss that says, hey, make sure you finish this project before you leave for the weekend. Now your friend is frustrated. Now your friend is a good prospect. Now you reach out to your friend on the weekend, and the weekend they're having fun with the kids. You send them about Immunotech. They're not interested. Bad prospect. Timing is bad. But on Sunday night, they had such a great weekend. So I can't believe I got to go back to work. I wish I was like John Solleder. That just stays home all day and hang out, sleep in. Now it's a good prospect. See, prospecting is about timing. Timing and transition. Your best prospect, I'll give you a clue here, are ones in transition. Can you think of anyone right now who is in transition? Transition could be in between jobs. Transition could be someone that's turning 30-year life crisis, 40, 50-year life crisis. Some of you, every one of you here, including myself, we got started when we were in transition. John's story was in transition. He was in college. Yeah, after college, what was he going to do? Best prospects in transition. Some other ideas. Maybe someone that is about to have a baby that needs more money for diapers. Someone that is afraid to get laid off, working in the tech industry, right? We have, how many layoffs has it been? Like 200,000 layoffs since the beginning of the year. That's transition. Someone that is about to get married, need money for a wedding, in transition. Someone new in your neighborhood that wants to meet new friends and have fun. Because don't forget, Immunitech is a lot of fun. That's someone in transition. Think of the people in transition in your lives. And that's why right now, 2023, it is the best time to build your business, because as an industry, network, let me ask you, is the economy good? The economy is not good, right? When the economy is not good, network marketing thrives. Why does that work? Because I want you to write this down, and this applies to everything. The fear of loss is greater than the desire of gain. So what do I mean by that? Desire of gain. Just say you tell someone, hey, you need to get healthier, lose 20 pounds and get healthier. Right? The person doesn't do that. The person knows they need to get healthier. They don't do much. But then the doctor says, hey, if you don't lose 20 pounds, you have a chance to get diabetes. You know, all of a sudden that person loses weight. Right? The fear of loss is always greater than the desire of gain. Everyone wants to make more money, but the economy is good. They get nice bonuses. When they come home from a long day of work, they will relax. But when they're worried about the job, when they're worried about getting laid off, the fear, the stock market is going down, all this stuff happening, they're open for opportunity. They start becoming prospects in transition. Now, how do you get these people into the business? How do you get people interested? A big misconception is that you need success. If I had results, how many of you feel this way, right? If I was like John, I was making the money or he's made, it would be so much easier to convince the people. You ever felt that way? Be honest, right? If I was earning more, it'd be easy, right? I used to feel that way. By the way, number one, that's totally wrong way of thinking, because when John got started, he also never made any money, never made a penny in Immunitech, right? Every leader started out with zero. And even though John had some previous network marketing experience, even in his first experience, he had zero. We all started out with zero. And also, even if you have John Solleder, you prospect, there's still tons of people that say no to him. Correct, John? Right? So just because you're making a lot of money doesn't mean, but what you have to understand is you don't need previous success. I want to teach you how to get people to join you, even if you never had success. How to get people to become a consultant. Right? People buy the 3 C's. 3 C's. And I wrote about this in my book. Number 1 is your change. Change. How have you changed? You're changing your health because of the products. Let people know about that. Post that on social media. You don't need to be a commercial. You don't need to talk about, buy Immunitech. Just show them the change in lifestyle. Maybe you used to not eat healthy, and now you're eating healthier. Maybe you used to never exercise, and now you go for walks. Change in attitude, change in habits. Maybe you used to watch TV all the time, Netflix, and now you cancel Netflix and attending webinars, trainings on Saturday. People want, you know what, when that happens, to some people like, you're weird. Why are you doing that on a Saturday, beautiful Saturday afternoon? If they think you're weird, if they think what's going on with you, that's good. You know why? That means you got their attention. Now, if you do it only one time, they'll forget about it. That's why you have to be consistent. People buy your change. They also buy your commitment, right? This is something every one of you should do. You're giving up your Saturday. You're committed to your business. Take a screenshot and share this. Just say, I'm so grateful for our team and the leaders for amazing training we had this Saturday. Just post it on social media. You don't need to mention your name. You have to mention Immunitech. But you want to get it out there. And a mistake that people make is, well, Simon, I posted it, but I didn't get any results. Because how often do you see a commercial for the first time or see something on the first time you buy immediately? right? Social media is like driving on the freeway. You drive it down 30 times, you never see that billboard. And finally, you see that billboard and makes you want to go order Domino's pizza. Commitment. Let people know you're committed. I talked about my friends. If you're not consistent, they'll believe the business doesn't work. So my friends back when I first started, we always asked me to go out to hang out, watch the Laker game. And I said, I couldn't. My turning point for me was when I became consistent. Now, I'll share more about that story at convention. And I said, I can't. So how come you can't? Okay, I got to work on my business. And you know what? They'd even say, they'll make fun of me, mock and say, hey, you still doing that thing? You still doing that thing? Yeah. But if you only knew how great it was, you would miss the basketball game too. By the way, and then, oh, really? After a while, they stopped asking me because they knew my turning point. Every day at 4:30 afternoon to like 6, I would work on my business. At that time, my job allowed me to do that. People buy your commitment. The question to ask, would you follow yourself? Would you join yourself? If you're not committed, showing up every day, would you join yourself? Right? That's why you got to be consistent. People buy the consistency. If you're not consistent, they won't think the business is any good. And then, you know what? Most people won't buy in the first exposure. Okay, that's some bad news there. Most people are not going to buy in the first exposure, but almost everyone will buy. Everyone eventually, and you can ask John this, he's been in this profession for 30 plus years. Everyone will eventually join, be a customer, or give you a referral when the timing is right for them. The question is, will you be around when the timing is right? Here's something, let me ask you this question. Changing topics here. Now, we're people from all different parts of the country here, right? We're Texas, we're Florida. Just say you want, we're hungry right now, and this is definitely not healthy. Okay? I'm just using this as an example. I'm not actually telling you to go do this. But if you want to order cheap, fast pizza delivered to you right now, because we're on the webinar, we're hungry, cheap, fast pizza delivered to you like in 30 minutes, who would you call? Type in the chat. Who would you call? Cheap, quick, fast pizza delivered to you. Who would you reach out to? You know, in every country, I ask this, whether it's U.S., whether it's in California, Florida, whether it's in China, the U.K., Philippines, okay, Australia, Hong Kong, they always say the same couple of answers. They say Domino's, Pizza Hut, or Papa John's. Or someplace down south, they'll say Little Caesars. Those are all same 4 answers I get. So that, by the way, that is called marketing. When you see the TV commercials about Pizza Hut, Domino's, you're driving by the freeway, you see the billboards, you see the door hangers, right? You never buy, but the one time you actually hungry, you want to buy, you think of Domino's. Now let me ask you this: when the people out there finally one day they're frustrated, they're frustrated at the job, or they're frustrated at health, let me ask you this: will they think of you? Who will think of you? Who will give you think, oh, you have the solution? And I'm telling you, if you start to bring some bad news, if they're not thinking of you, then you're doing a poor and terrible job of marketing. You are not consistent. You should be the first person you think of. People think networking is how many people you know. Networking is not how many people you know. A good networker is who will think of you when they need what you have. That is networking. Right? You're on top of their mind. If they're not thinking about you, and they think about, I'm going to go to Costco, buy some stuff, buy some health supplements, you've done a poor job. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to buy from you, but they should at least think of you and reach out to you. That means you have not been consistent or committed enough. Okay, you got to show up all the time. So I'm going to give you a couple of things just to share, really quickly. John doesn't even know I'm going to share this with you. I shouldn't share, but I'm going to share you commission checks. I know they're not FTC approved, but these are commission checks you've never seen before. So I got started in 2003. I struggled for months, and guess how much money I made? I was so excited. I believed and I earned a big fat donut. Okay, 0. And then a couple of weeks later, I was like, oh man, this business is so good. I'm going to be rich. I got a pancake, 0. Then a couple of weeks later, it was a egg. A couple of weeks later, it was a bagel. Just actually a couple months later. Then another, I can't think of any other food objects, but zeros, okay? 0. A couple other weeks later, 0. My turning point, how I got to where I was someone helped me become consistent. Okay, everyone you need consistent, and every one of you, we all need accountability. If my mentor didn't force me to take action, hold me accountable, I would not be where I am today. Your accountability partner doesn't need to be your upline. It could be your crossline, sideline, anyone on this team, anyone in Immunitech. Find someone to hold you accountable, making sure you do what you're supposed to do. You may not be good at the beginning. This is saying every master was a disaster. John was terrible at what he did. I was terrible. But consistency creates mastery. Yeah, John talked about eventually build a team over 200,000 just from doing it. I was not good at the beginning. By the way, this is an old picture. Some of you were not even born when these monitors were around. But I started building online. Okay, I'm a shy, quiet kid. I moved to Los Angeles, didn't know many people. So I started doing online marketing back in 2004. That's how I found a lot of prospects. And then you build a team. I was the #1 fastest growing distributor. And then, in network marketing, you need duplication, right? Duplication, very important. So my wife and I, with just 2 of us, we started to duplicate. You can tell we are very good at duplication because my oldest son looks exactly like me. My youngest one looks exactly like my wife. And the white fluffy one, that's like the weird consultant no one can figure out. Right? He's my oldest son, Obi. And good thing we're doing this at 12 o'clock at my time. Otherwise, at 6 o'clock, the house is a zoo. But I remember a couple of years ago, my house was crazy. It was like my wife was making breakfast. I got to get the 2 older kids to brush their teeth, right? It's like an ordeal. And then get my youngest one in my arms. And I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, so I took a selfie. I think I have toothpaste. I didn't look very happy there. But, you don't need that much time to build a successful Immunitech business. But you do need to be consistent and working with doing the right things. This is a recent picture of us. This is from 2 weeks ago. We do a lot of tournaments. My youngest one has a Little League parade. My other son has a tournament tomorrow. My oldest son has a 2-day tournament later on. We're going to leave in about 2 hours or so. And then in 2013, I became a full-time trainer. And I shared this one other picture. Someone asked me recently, what's a lifestyle picture? I think this picture embodies what Immunitech can do for you, right? Obviously, I'm a huge baseball fan, right? Growing up as a kid, baseball was my first love. My dad was a successful doctor. I definitely did not grow poor. We're upper middle class, but he had no time for us. And this picture was taken on a Tuesday afternoon while most dads were busy at work. Right after school, picked them up. We did a practice session. Okay, I work with my boys, talk about consistency 7 days a week. Okay, even this morning, I work with my 2 older ones. My youngest one, once he comes from parade, you don't need to do much. It could be just 5-10 minutes a day. And the same thing for your business. So real quick, okay, and I'll talk more about this at a convention, is if you want to achieve whatever goal you want, you need to apply the 7 components of the consistency system. Number 1 is you need to have a checklist. If you're not applying these 7 components, you're not going to make your goals. So number 1, you've got to have a checklist. Number 2, the checklist of what am I specifically going to do? So say I want to reach out to trainers, right? Fitness trainers. What am I going to do? A checklist could be I go to the gym 7 days a week. Maybe I go to 2 different gyms. Maybe I go to look for a health group on LinkedIn and join, whatever it is. Be clear on what you have to do. Or maybe you're going to ask for referrals or whatever it is. Number 2 is you have to create and schedule the time. This is the one that sabotages. Because remember, everyone, we are in a distraction economy. If you don't create and schedule the time, it's not going to happen. There's a thing called Parkinson's law that says everything fills into a vacuum. Right? You know what that means? It's like, when you move to a house or you have a nice clean closet, You want to keep it nice. And then within a month, all types of junk just goes in their closet. That's Parkinson's law, right? Or you say, I'm going to do this house chore on the weekend, but you never get it done, right? But the weekend just came and flew. That's Parkinson's law. Things will take up the time. Unless you block off the time, you will never have time for your business. Because I guarantee you, something will come up. The world itself is the distraction economy. It's built to distract and sabotage you. You would be doing all these type of things that have nothing to do with your business. Next is, and by the way, this was the turning point for me. At 4:30 p.m. I shared. I scheduled and blocked off the time. I wasn't doing anything else except for working on my business. Number 3 is you got to determine the strategy. Now, kind of, if you want to reach out to health professionals, then what's the strategy? Are you going to go to gyms? Are you going to go to LinkedIn groups? Are you going to ask for referrals? What's the strategy? Number 4 is choose the environment. You got to be an environment that's supportive. Environment, if you are in a negative environment or a lot of distractions going on at home, someone's watching TV, it's difficult to do the business. You know, a lot of times I go in my car, go to my office, go to a different room, go to the backyard, take a walk. Choose your environment. Another part of environment I'll share with you is music is a big part, right? Music is a big part of the environment. You know, I've spoken over 10,000 times whether it's on stage, on Zooms, doing presentations, doing meetings, I do a daily pep talk. You know, Dina's on this sometimes like 5 days a week. I speak in my groups over 10,000 times, but every time before I start, I still get nervous. I was still nervous right before. I was like, John, when do I show up? I'm texting them, when do I show up? I'm still nervous. But you know what I did right before I came on? This is what I did. Music is a big clue, right? By the way, you know there's a song, every one of you, if I play a certain song, it'll bring you back to your high school days, right? So right before this call, this is why I play. Oh, hey, John, what's going on? I'm Simon. I'm ready to rock. Let's do this. See, that gets me excited. Just listen to that music. That's that musical cue. It's like, you know, the Pavlov dogs. You ring the bell and the dog does something. Once I hear that song, all right, son, I'm going to do this. I've done this 10,000 times. I can do this. Hey, every one of you, you have a song in you that inspires you. And sometimes in a long day at work, it's so hard. It's so easy to like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Let me do it later tonight. And tonight doesn't happen because you get too tired. Choose that song that gets you going. Gets you. Hey, look at this. I just played that song for like 5 seconds. I'm speaking faster. My energy's increased, right? We're human beings. Music makes us a huge trigger that gets us going. Use it to your advantage. 2 more things is tracking. You got to track your progress. If you're not tracking, you're not going to be successful. Okay. What doesn't get measured doesn't get improved. All Olympic athletes track their progress. You have to track what you're doing as well. What do you track? Track your checklist. How many people are you reaching out to, right? John shared about like the pennies, 5 pennies in your pocket, put the 5 pennies on the other side, right? Whatever you do, you got to track. How many presentations, how many people are you meeting? How many customers are you following up with? Track your numbers. Number 6 is use your tools. I'll give you a tool. Number 1, use a timer. The timer is a free tool you can get on your phone. Timer. Why do we use a timer? Because we like to procrastinate. We like, you know, let me check emails and spend the whole day an hour checking emails. You haven't done anything. Or let me just go to social media, connect with someone, and you don't set a timer and you waste the entire day on it. Use the timer. Okay. Timer also creates urgency. You get more stuff done. Even preparing for this training, I like to overthink. I set a timer. So once the timer's done, I got to save it and I'm not looking at it again. And I have to move on to the next thing. You know why timers work? Hey, John, do you have like 2 more minutes? I want to share this about this timer.
Go ahead.
You know, because our DNA, our caveman, our cavewoman, DNA. Well, maybe not cavewoman, but definitely caveman. Cavewoman was better than caveman. Caveman, all we did, our DNA, we just sleep in a hammock all day. You know, like you see the modern person, he just comes home, it turns on Netflix, he just vegetates. That comes from caveman. We just sleep in a hammock. The only time we will wake up is 3 times. Either we were hungry, the tiger came and we'll run, or someone tried to steal our woman, we'll get up and fight. That was caveman. Very simple. right? And you look at this in modern day. Remember when we used to have exams, tests, when we would do our exams, well, or term papers. When do you do term papers? The night before, right? And I remember, I was a terrible student. I would do something like the morning of. So stressful. I'm like, I'm never doing this ever again. I hate this. And then the next time the teacher gave the assignment, a 1 month, I tried ahead. I'll go to the library to do it. And I'll sit there for 2 hours and I'll write like one sentence. But the night before, I'll get it done so quickly. That's why we need urgency. Our DNAs, we need pressure. I'll give you examples. We all know this. The house is a mess, but where's time to clean the house? But the night before guests arrives, oh, a miracle. The house gets cleaned up just like that. We need urgency, right? Use the timer. Say, hey, I'm going to do 5 reach outs. Set 15 minutes. I'm going to reach out. Set a 5 reach out. Because if you don't do that, you can be scrolling on Facebook, or looking for the messages, emails, and you waste the time. Last thing, I kind of talked about it. We all need accountability. Okay. And to find an accountability partner, I'll give you 3 tips. Number 1 is everyone is busy. No one wants to be your accountability partner. They may say that, yeah, let's do it. But they're like, oh, what did I get myself involved with? Everyone's busy. So be a person of value. When you have accountability, always think about what did you learn and share that. Maybe you share something from today's training. You can share it. I am my accountability partner call, right? I just had it on Thursday. I always take something I learned and I share it. I saw a great marketing piece. I immediately shared it. Number 2 is the frequency of communication is more important than how long you talk for. So if I talk, just say John's my accountability partner, we talk for 1 hour today. Do you think I want to talk to him tomorrow? There's nothing to talk about, right? And then if I talk to him tomorrow, definitely I'm going to talk about Monday and Tuesday. Make it short, right? There's a time for relationship building, a time for accountability. Accountability can be 3 simple things. Who did you reach out to yesterday? What did you do? Ask your accountability partner. Number 2 is, are you getting a customer sign up by the end of this week? Right? And if not, then why not? Number 3 is, what do you need help with? Those 3 questions. Who did you talk to? What have you done? Are you getting customer to sign up? By the way, if you ask the customer to sign up and the person shares, everyone loves to talk about the successes, right? So you make the other person feel good. And you also, while the person's sharing, you get ideas as well. And the 3rd question is, what do you need help with? Hey, John, that is all I have.
Wow.
I'll love, you have questions, me want to elaborate. First of all, I'll definitely want to see every one of you at convention on April 14th. I'll be there April 14th, 15th. Or you want a question, you can message me on Facebook, Simon W. Chan, or on Instagram, Simon W. Chan. I actually personally reply to every message. It may take me, I may not reply right away, but I personally go through every message. So my last thing before I hop off, I know Dr. Mosen got amazing training sharing with you, is, hey, we're in the profession to help others. So go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all. See you in Fort Worth.
Simon, first of all, before you go, I just want to point out a couple of real fast things, okay? Because we're focused on Immunical being part of the Blue Zones. And part of the Blue Zone philosophy, as you know, you and I have discussed this a few times, is having an extended group of people that are kind of part of your extended family. Like you just talked about. You talked to somebody as an accountability partner on Thursday. You and I sometimes talk to each other that way, not as accountability partners, but hey, let's talk business. Let's share some ideas.
Oh, no, you are my accountability partner in some way. In taking cold shower accountability partner.
That's
you
right.
That cold stuff. Every time I see that, I think of John Solleder. Oh man, John's doing it. I gotta do it. I can't wimp out.
Exactly. So we share stuff like that about our cold water therapy in addition to business, because we've become friends and we both know we have a common interest there. But Simon made such a great point on that, and it's Blue Zone consistent once again. He's got a group of people that he talks to that keep him accountable. Same with me. Last night, Dan McCormick and I were on the phone for an hour, just sharing, chewing the fat, sharing the business, talking about ideas, strategies, and tactics. You don't get on the phone with leaders and talk about the weather. You talk about the things that are impactful to your life and to your business, most importantly. Simon, I can't thank you enough. I know you got ball games tonight, man, but this has been amazing. Folks, don't miss Simon. Pick up his book, please. I know he'll sign it for you okay, pick up this book. Hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, The Consistency Pill. Pick it up, get it, read it. Most importantly, underline things, ask him. This is an amazing human being. And Simon, once again, my friend, we can go on forever, but I know you got to run, but thank you so much. And looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, pal.
Thank you, John. It was an honor to be here. See everyone in Fort Worth. God bless.
Thanks, Simon. Bye-bye. All right, Mr. Hooper, I think we're up to Mr. Molson and Dr. Cellini. Now, this is taped. We had to tape this. John's son has a tryout today, a camp. As some of you know, John's son is a professional football player, kicker, and he's played with a couple of teams, and he's got a tryout today, free agent tryout down in San Diego. So John is down there. So Dr. Cellini and Nancy got together on Thursday. And folks, this is once again such an amazing topic that they're going to talk about, because we all know what's going on in Ohio. Okay, you're getting questioned. What does Immunical do? Da, 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 da. Well, they're good questions, and it's a very serious topic as well. So, Keith, roll the tape.
So, hi, John. Thank you so much, and welcome to the Zoom Tacular. I really appreciate your time. We know you're busy. So capturing you in this way and your expert insights for the upcoming session is greatly appreciated. How are you today?
Great. Thanks, Nancy.
Good, good. So like we normally do, our time together is so important. I'm going to give a little overview, and then I have some key questions I prepared. Let's get to it, as we have this really urgent issue to discuss concerning human exposure to toxins and the depletion of glutathione. And I know you know a lot about this. We've discussed this in prior sessions, but there's some pressing matters in recent events that we just can't overlook in our time together. And as someone who spent years with the brilliant and forward-thinking Dr. Bonos, I know you've got important content for our audience, so we'll get to that in a moment. But first, my short overview. Years ago, we could have considered that some land, air, water was truly organic. Sadly, this may no longer be the case, as pollutants and environmental risks continue to harm this fragile world we're all living in. There are dangerous chemicals in use and additives in consumer products and our food. Did you know there's over 10,000 additives allowed in the United States in food that have never been fully tested? The FDA only recently admitted that they are seriously behind in their testing of food additives. And unlike other parts of the world where they've removed many of these due to some outdated legislation here in the United States, they allow the fox to guard the hen house in effect with a ruling known as GRAS, G-R-A-S, that stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. The manufacturer is able to escape rigorous testing with really somewhat faulty claims in lieu of good science and testing to really demonstrate the safety of these additives. And on February 3rd of this year, just a few short weeks ago, there was another assault on human health. Early that morning, an eastbound Norfolk Southern Railway general merchandise freight train derailed 38 cars in a place called East Palestine, Ohio. This borders Pennsylvania. 11 cars contained hazardous materials. They ignited. They caused damage to 12 non-derailed cars. This was caused by a wheel bearing that overheated this train, which was carrying deadly chemicals, including, I'm ready for this list, John, vinyl chloride, butyl acrylate, ethyl hexyl acrylate, ethylene glycol monobutyl ether. All of these have been known to be leaked and continue to be released in the air, the surface soils, and the surface waters. And most people won't know that vinyl chloride burning, controlled or not, which is what they did to control some of this toxin release, is the production actually of two nasty chemicals. Phosgene, which both Germany and the Allies deployed in World War I to kill trenches full of soldiers, and hydrogen chloride, which when it's inhaled, it turns into hydrochloric acid. This is a key component of stomach acid, but in the lungs. While some officials are saying it's safe to go back home, Erin Brockovich, the famous environmental activist summoned by the people of East Palestine to a town hall, she warned the people that that's what the authorities would say. They would lie, saying all is safe. She knows from her fearless work that the protection of human life can be overshadowed by corporate image saving and profitability. So that brings me to this time with you, John, and our discussion of blue zones, those idyllic places where people are happy to live and they live to ripe old ages. Do you think they really still exist based on some of these events that we're seeing? And how can you tell how blue your zone is? Why should everybody on this call today care? So that's my first question for you. Talk to us. And thank you.
Hi, Nancy. You know, in fact, they do exist. There's 5 places called blue zones where a disproportionately high number of residents live to over 100. And you can find them in Cara, Greece, Loma Linda, California, Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, and Nicoya, Costa Rica. Why should we care? Well, as my mother told me a few years ago, you're older for a lot longer than you're younger. And the environment you live in may influence the trajectory of your aging process. So as many of you know, we had one of the world experts in aging working at Immunotech, Dr. Wolf Droog. And his area of research was actually on unhealthy aging. Now, we cannot think in absolutes when discussing this subject, but following the lifestyle habits found in those zones may improve your resiliency to the variables that can compromise your health during the aging process.
Well, that really sums it up. So regardless of these other events going on, and they're going to go on, we seem to hear about them more and more often, right? These natural or man-made disasters. That work is very significant. And I want to believe what you believe. We still have blue zones, right? We can create them as much as we have the potential to do so. But I also want to know from you what insights Dr. Bonos had. And he had these years before others were awakened. I look at some of the years of that research that he did, John. It's amazing. He knew the grim reality of toxic exposure and glutathione depletion. So what were, according to him, the leading causes of it? And again, most importantly for this audience, how do we guard against depletion? So talk to us about Dr. Bonos's brilliant work.
I can't overstate, how broad his understanding was of health and wellness. Over the course of his career, he read thousands of research articles on glutathione. When conducting his early experiments, he actually used certain chemicals in the laboratory to induce malignancies in laboratory animals. So he saw the effect firsthand. Very early on, he developed this theory about the conditions that may coexist, which can lead to single or multiple functional deficiencies of glutathione. So you can't think about absolute terms, completely normal glutathione levels and no glutathione. It's these marginal deficiencies that you have to think about. And this is how he explained it. He said, a number of conditions may coexist, each of which places on the body a number of great demand for glutathione, such as production of endogenous oxyradicals during immune activity and strenuous muscle exercise, detoxification of foreign pollutants, and protection against radiation. He went on to say that it's conceivable that during severe challenge, and here's the operative word, competition for glutathione precursors may lead to single or multiple functional deficiencies, which means you're going to be impaired within those particular functionalities. So it could be immune activity, it could be detoxification. And he goes on to say, with global warming now empowering microbes, which are expanding both in number and diversity, to make matters worse, the glutathione requiring immune system must now compete with glutathione precursors with organs increasingly involved in the body's defense against pollutants and ultraviolet radiation from ozone depletion. So it's not only taxing the liver, but it's also taxing the immune system's ability to respond, as well as your body's ability to protect itself against ultraviolet radiation. So it's it's something he spoke passionately about, and something that flies under the radar. Not a lot of literature on it in terms of mainstream literature, but it's definitely out there.
Amazing. And can I just ask you the time horizon for when he was talking in this crazy way?
Well, he actually, I mean, when we formed the company in 1997, from essentially day one, when he was coaching me on glutathione and talking about glutathione and showing me which articles to read, this was as important to him as the role in immune function. So he spent equal time on this and pointed me in the directions of these articles and explained the consequences. You know, even if you look at the literature now, you know, talking about the effect of these toxins on global IQ, you know, even within the United States, there's been a huge impact on IQ from pollutants. And he spoke to me about this 25 years ago. And I hadn't seen the literature back then, but he was talking about it.
Amazing visionary in his work. He really was. And the fact that he was talking about these issues so long ago, I shudder to think what he would be thinking right now, 2023, because we hear about disasters like the train derailments and many others, it seems like on a weekly basis. You don't have to look far for them. So his work continues to live on. And thank you for helping it to live on, John, and in your insights and your personal knowledge repository. So as I always do, because I think this is equally as important, you talk so often about diet, exercise, clean living. But what other advice can you share, having been so fortunate to have worked with Dr. Boonas's brilliance all those years ago? What else can people possibly do? Already think they're living a pretty healthy lifestyle. Is there more we can do? Where are the guardrails here?
You know, I think the most important thing is making informed choices on a daily basis. And, you know, based on what I learned from Dr. Bunos, pollution and its effects are inescapable. But supplementing with Immunical may help our resiliency by helping increase our capacity to clear those toxins. So combine this with the lessons learned from the blue zones, and hopefully you'll be able to keep doing the things that bring you happiness throughout your life. And that's essentially how I would capture it. But it's, you know, if we talk about prevention, if we talk about resiliency, etc., it's those little activities, those choices you make, and they have to be informed choices you make, creating the environment, no matter where you live. And it's the additive effect of those choices over time that build that resiliency, that build that health, or bank account, as you so aptly talk about, a health bank account.
That talk was a long time ago, but thank you for bringing me back to that. And thank you for those final thoughts from you, because good health, right, is so much more than the list of things we might think of. And thank you for reminding everybody that doing the things you love, being with the people you love, surrounded by the activities you love to do, that's why we want to be healthy, right? So we can keep doing them. I love that you put this in the context of it's an additive effect. And having great people to work with, as I do in you, is certainly on my list of additive effect, John. So I want to thank you so much for your time. Any last thoughts on this before I let you go?
Well, it's always a privilege to be part of these Zoom calls, to work with you, and to share the knowledge that Dr. Bunos shared with me. I mean, that's essentially our role, is to pass that on and empower people to make good decisions about themselves, about their families, about their loved ones. I think that's ultimately what Immunotech is about.
Well, those are great closing words, John. Thank you so much. As always, I wish you well, happiness always, and the best of health. Thanks for this time. I know our audience is going to really appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Well, we've done another Zoom-tacular. How do you like that? And this has been an amazing, they've all been spectacular, but this one is one of my favorites. I mean, the three ladies in the beginning, awesome. Simon, you know, can you say, guys, incredible. And what John and Nancy just shared there, timely, you know, with what's going on in the environment that affects each and every one of us, whether you live downstream in from the Mississippi River, like I kind of do here in Dallas, not quite, but certainly folks in New Orleans and Memphis and St. Louis and all along that area of the country, you know, they're all impacted. You know, we're thinking of this as an Ohio problem. This is not an Ohio problem. This is a national problem. And it's only one, you know what I mean? We wish it was a one-off, right? Something that happened every 1,000 years, but you think of Chernobyl and you think of 3 Mile Island and you think of Love Canal and you think of all these other things. Well, folks, best protection I know, it's called a Muni-Cal. Comes in a box, got to take it. Like Simon talked about, consistency, got to take it consistently. So this has been a great day, folks. Keith will get all of this up. By the way, if you're not on our Blue Zone / Immunizone Facebook group, that's where we're posting a lot of things. Like, you know, Simon talked about, you know, we're like brothers, not only in business and in the Lord and everything else, but we're also brothers when it comes to Wim Hof therapy and cold water swimming, right? He's something he's doing, something I'm doing. Once in a while, I share something on that. Sometimes Dale, I share some great stuff. Keith shares some great stuff. Others are some great stuff. So if it has to do with your health and getting better, go ahead and post it on there. Share it. Share your workout. It's another thing I encourage people to do. I've stopped sharing mine. I don't know. I just got lazy sharing it, I guess. But share what you did. You know, whether you walked the dog today, you ran around the block, you mowed the lawn, you ran a marathon. I don't know. You know, we got a lot of people here doing a lot of different things, but share that with the group, because once again, part of the Blue Zone environment is we got to be with people who are like-minded. Okay, have similar thoughts and things. So anyway, Keith, that's what I had. Hey, appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend. Keith, I'll turn it to you to say au revoir.
Well, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate you all very much. This will be up on XYZ Tools coming up by the first of the week. Take advantage of that. There's some amazing stuff. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you so much, Dale. Thank you so much, Dina. Dina had to run, but thank you all for being there. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, John, for getting John Molson and Nancy to do that ahead of time, so we got it all up there. We appreciate you all very much. Have a great weekend, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.